Norman Schimmel is Mr. Schimmel here, followed by Jim Lample, followed by Zeke Seekauer, looks like, and in the bullpen, Millie Small and Kathy Atunes. Mr. Schimmel.
Before I start, City Manager, when you said you haven't heard from the Orioles, this is a letter from the Orioles on April 20th. But you're talking about after April?
Speak into the microphone, please.
I'm sorry. Yep. Before I start, you said you hadn't heard anything back from the Orioles. Do you mean after this letter from them of April 20th?
That letter was to the county in response to their question, but we have not heard anything in response to our question about leasing it on a short-term basis.
I just wanted to, because they were very clear that they really wanted to continue negotiation with us in the letter. My name is Norman Schimmel. I've been coming to Sarasota for over 30 years and have been living here for the past 4.5 years. I owned the apartment at the Colony initially for about 16 years. And I sold that and I bought a condominium about 2 years ago. About a week ago, in my condominium, an apartment was sold at less than half the price of what I paid for it. Mr. Turner was in my condominium, as a matter of fact, less than 2 weeks ago. My group is understaffed, but we're prepared to prepare and present to you a petition signed by the major resorts, hotels, restaurants, attractions, service businesses, transportation company, real estate associates, bankers, and cable companies to immediately, without conflict of county and city, as a solid government, close the Oriole deal for a 30-year period. These are not residents who, I must say, primarily have no knowledge of the inner workings, return on investment, and the business of tourism. These are leaders of our business community talking. They had a horrible 08-09 year and see disaster if you kill this opportunity. The officials of Lee County, after the Red Sox fiasco, said that Sarasota is a non-entity because the government here is always protecting themselves and fighting and passing off blame within. This is, I'm quoting it. The resolution shows an estimated 25 to 45 million in impact. I'm not sure what company did the study. I was a CEO for close to 40 years. And how they came up with that number, but I have some experienced managers I know in Tampa, Clearwater, and Orlando, and they say it is understated for a city this size. And the other thing I would say about that study too, 25 to 45 million, if someone gave me a study with that big of a leeway, I would question it. It's too big of a leeway.
1 minute remains.
Say again?
1 minute remains.
I'm sure that Major League Baseball in Park Avenue has no knowledge of a Japanese team playing spring training and sharing revenue with MLB teams. I've had business dealings with them for close to 30 years, and they give up revenue to no one. So they're not going to play a Japanese team. Lastly, I twice ran companies for $1 for a period and had to lay off people to help the survival of it. Yet, and even in those periods, my decisions were made with much research and experienced help in a precise industry or area of investment, but always with the thought that someone 10 or 20 years from now would know my name and would know my action. I would be praised or crucified for same. I've never let that out of my mind. You sit here today, and if you take the easy and politically correct way out, Sarasota will cease to have its tourism, revenue, property values, employment, and worldly name in any future. I ask one last question. What are the people 20 years from now going to say about you? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.